Hello. Hi. I'm tired. Okay. So this is just gonna be a reading stream. I'm gonna read until I don't feel like it anymore, or until it starts to get too difficult to read on stream. Yeah, we're gonna be reading this because this is what Rain sent. There's apparently 40 parts, which is insane to me for one of these. A slow burn for sure. But yeah, as will be the norm with these types of things, there's probably going to be some grammar errors and stuff, but we're going to do our best to just soldier through and read it all, so. Okay. A glass orb sat on the Hokage's desk, and I stared at it along with the other senseis, observing the class of Ganon who would soon be mentoring. I'm assuming you say that as Ganon. It's been a while since I've seen this show or anything. Anyways, the orb showed Ganon sitting on his own, hands folded. That's Sasuke Uchiha, our most promising student, the Hokage said. He's the last of his clan. Poor kid, Asuma mumbled. I nodded along and watched as the orb shifted around the room to show each student the Hokage matching a name to each face. The orb then focused on a blonde boy in the center of the room, Naruto Uzumaki. Felt the person next to you. You felt the person next to you lean forward and looked up to see a man gazing intently at the orb. He seemed to have taken an interest in the Uzumaki boy, Kakashi, I whispered with a smirk. He possesses the 9 tails within him. Who wouldn't be interested? The two of us turned our attention back to the Hokage as he continued to say names as the orb scanned over the students. Wait, go back, I spoke, something catching my eye. Is that kid wearing his headband over his eyes? The Hokage nodded. Yes, that's Kaminai Ito. He's blind. Kakashi nudged my arm. Seems like you've taken an interest in the Ito boy. I smiled. Who wouldn't at least be curious about a blind ninja? The Hokage stood, and every jonin in the room gathered, waiting silently for him to read out their teams. Kakashi, you will be leading Team 7, Sakura Haruno, Sasuke Uchiha, and Naruto Uzumaki. I glanced at Kakashi, but he didn't show any signs of excitement. However, even if he did, no one would know since he wore a mask that covered his face. I forgot this is your name one. Tragic, you will be leading Team 2. Jin Yamamoto, Amari Yamanaka, and Kaminai Ito. I couldn't help but let a small smile crawl across my face. A blind ninja? Who would have known? The Hokage finished reading off his list, and one by one each shonen left for the academy to introduce themselves to their team. All except Kakashi. He started walking in the opposite direction. I quickly ran to catch up and bumped his shoulder. Where are you going? I'm pretty sure the academy is the other way. The academy can wait. Those 3 need to learn patience anyway. I nodded. I can see that. Are you at least excited to have a team? I've had teams before, Tragic. It's not something I get excited about. Yeah, I guess you did leave the anbu before I did. Trainers. It makes sense that you'd have other teams before. Kakashi stopped walking and looked at me with his one visible eye. I failed each one of my teams and have sent each and every one of them back to the academy. I don't think this group will be any different. You have the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki and the last Uchiha on your team. I wouldn't underestimate them if I were you. I just read that off the cuff. I'm surprised I got that right. Also, hi, Allie. Thank you for the hugs and the lurk. I appreciate it. I failed teams for lack of teamwork, not for their lack of skill. Oh, well, then they might not pass in that case, I chuckled. Kakashi shook his head. Let's head to the academy. We've made our teams wait long enough. I grinned and nodded. Ugh, they're late. Kakashi and I stood outside the classroom door and listened to what was going on inside. So far, it was only one student who was speaking, and he was being unbelievably obnoxious. You can't think that'll work. What if you get our sensei? Did you think about that? Yours is late too, so it doesn't matter. I looked at Kakashi. The hell are they doing in there? He shrugged and reached out to open the sliding door, but as he stepped inside, a chalk brush fell and hit him on the head. He fell for it, Naruto Uzumaki cheered. I had to hold back a laugh as I stepped around Kakashi and into the classroom. So, which one of you is our sensei? A young girl with pink hair asked. Are you on team 7 or 2? 7. I pointed to Kakashi. He's team 7, sensei. I'm team 2, sensei. 3 heads popped up and 2 of them looked at me. Placing my hands on my hips, I looked at each one individually. Team 2, let's head out. As my team made our way... Wait, what? As my team made their way over to me, Kakashi cleared his throat, gaining everyone's attention. I've already decided that. He looked at each one of his team members. I hate you. Harsh, I mumbled. Before Kakashi could say anything else, I guided my team out of the classroom and across the schoolyard. Alright, we're gonna go around and you're gonna tell me your name. Something you like, something you want to learn, and why you became a ninja. They all nodded. I pointed at the student closest to me. You, with the white hair, go first. The boy jumped to his feet. He wore a red and black jacket and had piercing blue eyes, matched with chalk white hair. I'm Jin Yamamoto, and I like milkshakes and ice cream and cheese, anything dairy really, can't relate. I guess something I want to learn is how to become an awesome ninja so that I can one day be on Buu Jonin. I smiled at his enthusiasm. A young kid plus big dreams usually equaled out to be a good ninja in the end. And I guess the reason I became a ninja is because I want to be strong enough to protect my sister. Jin finished before he sat back down. Welcome to the team, Jin. I looked at the next member of my team. It was a girl with long blonde hair that was tied in a loose side braid. Her eyes were mint green and her clothes were pale purple. You next. My name's Amari Yamanaka. God, that's gonna confuse me. I like animals, and something I want to learn is my own unique jutsu. I became a ninja because everyone in my family is, so I followed in their shoes. Nice to have you on the team, Amari. It'll be nice to have another girl when going on missions. Apparently my character is supposed to be female. Amari screwed up her nose. I'm a boy. Jin snickered and my mouth dropped open. Oh, I'm so sorry. It's my hair and my name, I know. I'm sorry, I said, my cheeks flushed from embarrassment. Mari shrugged and I decided to just move. Anyways. The last one was Kamina. He wore his headband around his eyes and his brown hair was an unruly mess. spiked up in all directions. Last but not least, I'm Kamina. His voice is so quiet I could barely hear it. What are some things you like, Kamina? I don't really have anything I like. What about something you'd like to learn, I asked. Not really. Well, why'd you become a ninja? Kamina tilted his head to the side and clenched his fist. To show people I can. My heart melted, and I looked at each member of my team. Tomorrow we'll start training, so get a good night's sleep and meet me back here tomorrow morning. I'm not going to read the comments. Your POV. Part 2 now. Crazy. I stood in the center of a field with my arms folded over my chest. My 3 team members stood in front of me. So, for me to teach the 3 of you, I need to know what your strengths and weaknesses are. In order to find those out, I need to see all of you in action. Make sense? All 3 of them nodded their heads. I couldn't help the grin that plastered my face. And the best way to see you all in action is to take you on myself. They all glanced at each other before returning their eyes to me. But Sensei, there's only one of you, Jin said. His one eyebrow raised in confusion. Mari rolled his eyes. She's a Jonin bird brain. Could probably take out all 3 of us right now if she wanted to. Exactly, I agreed. How this is gonna work is the 3 of you are going to try and land a blow on me. Whoever lands a blow within the hour wins. Jin raised his hand and I nodded for him to speak. What do we get if we win? Free lunch. And if we lose? Amari questioned. Don't lose and you won't have to find out. Amari didn't look satisfied with my answer, but didn't question me further. Alright, if you're all ready, then the test starts now. Just like I'd expected, Amari and Kamina dashed for the bushes. It was common in a test like this for Shinobi to hide while they came up with a strategy, but for Jin, that wasn't the case. Going straight for a direct blow, Jin spun and aimed a kick for the center of my chest. I gripped his ankle before the blow made contact and used his momentum to redirect his kick, flinging him back into the tree line. Nice try, I called out. The field and surrounding greenery all fell silent, and now that the 3 of them saw what happens when you go for a direct blow, they were all hidden away trying to come up with a plan. A stick broke directly behind me and I spun around to see Kamina only a few feet away. It surprised me to see him so close. The fact that I didn't hear him approaching was also surprising and slightly creepy. I didn't even mess up reading there. I just, my brain stopped. And I lost where I was. I'm gonna drink water real quick. Reaching out, I grabbed Kamina by the wrist and shoved him towards a grouping of bushes. That was good, Kamina. You got pretty close. I watched as he struggled to pull himself up out of the plants and felt a tinge of guilt. You okay, Kamina? I asked. Do you need help? He shot me a thumbs up before waving me away with his hand. I turned my attention back to the test, only to be greeted with 2 kunai flying straight for my face. Quickly, I stepped to the side and let the weapons plunge into a nearby tree. Amari jumped out from behind a rock and tossed 2 more kunai in my direction, trying to use them as a distraction. Caught one of the small throwing knives in my hand and let the other fly past me. Using the one I caught, I threw it back in Amari's direction, pinning the sleeve of his shirt against the stump. Urgh, he groaned. I chuckled quietly. I was having way more fun with this than I probably should. Amari pulled the kunai out of the wood and shot me a pointed look before retreating back into the brush. I'll give you three a hint, I called out. Individually, the three of you are getting nowhere. However, there was always strength in numbers. My words were met with silence. Water clone jutsu, I mumbled. Beads of water formed together to create a mirror image of myself. You stay here, I'm gonna go see if I can eavesdrop. Clone nodded and I jumped in the trees, making sure I was as silent as possible as I looked for my team. What do we do? I stopped moving once I heard Jin's voice. I could see the three boys were huddled together behind a fallen tree, making a plan. Sensei said that there's strength in numbers, which means we'll have to work together if we're going to beat her, Amari explained. Well, duh, Jin responded. We still need a plan, though. Amari gave his team an annoyed glare that almost made me laugh. Kids were amusing. If you'd let me finish speaking, you'd hear that I have one. Jin sat back and crossed his arms before waving for Amari to continue. We need to distract her. Two of us will be the distraction while one of us sneaks up and lands the final blow. Who gets to hit her? Jin asked. Mari pointed at Kamina. He does. Jin didn't look too pleased with that decision, but he also didn't object it. Mari tapped Kamina on the hand, letting the blind boy know he was talking to him. The gesture didn't go unnoticed, based on the ghost of a smile across Kamina's lips. You're so quiet, I think you're the only one who'll be even remotely close. Yeah, Jin agreed. How'd you even do that anyway? Kamina reached up and tapped a headband over his eyes. When one of your senses don't work, all the others become heightened. Mari pulled their attention back to the plan. Okay, so Jin and I will distract Sensei with everything we have. While we do that, you sneak up behind her and land the final hit. Makes sense? Kamina and Jin both nodded. Let's go. I watched as Jin and Amari jumped out of the bushes, running straight for my clone. Jin seemed to rely on hand-to-hand combat, whereas Amari was more strategic and agile, running around the opponent until he finds an opening. I moved my attention to Kamina. He wasn't like other ninja his age. Most Genin were over the moon excited to jump into combat training, but not him. Kamina didn't use weapons and speed, and he didn't use brute force. All he did was move slowly and silently, using his sense of sound and touch to find his way. My clone deflected a kick from Amari, sending the boy barreling backwards into his teammate. Get off me, Blondie, Jin groaned. Kamina used their bickering as a cover, moving from the protection of the shrubs. Couldn't wait any longer. My own excitement was running too high. Jumping down from my perch in the tree, I let my clone dissolve into a puddle. What the? Jin mumbled. A clone? Amari seconded. Kamina cocked his head to the side in confusion. You three passed. But we didn't even land a single hit, Jin said, confused. I know. That wasn't the point of this exercise. I walked over to Kamina and led him and the rest of his team over to a rock, making them sit. The number one rule as a shinobi isn't to defeat the enemy. It's to work as a team, I explained. Jin groaned. That's so uncool. Mori rolled his eyes before agreeing with the nod. It may not sound cool, but these two people beside you are your only chance at surviving in the shinobi world. When you're out on a mission, you need to trust them wholeheartedly, as they are holding your life in their hands, and you're holding theirs. I'm not saying you have to like each other. I'm not even saying you have to get along. But no matter what, you need to trust each other, Also, side note, do they not know how to spell matter? Every single time matter spelled here, it's mater. And I hate it. Anyways. The three of them all hung their heads. Does this mean we still get free lunch? Jin asked. I laughed and nodded my head. Yes, I'll treat you three to whatever you want. Jin cheered and jumped up on his feet. I don't know about you two, but I'm feeling like some ramen. Sounds good to me, Amari said, dusting off his pants as he stood. Jin looked over Amari's shoulder. Hey, Kamina, you like ramen? Kamina raised his head and turned so that he was facing the rest of us. Yeah. Then come on, I heard Ichiraku is having a sale on toppings. A grin stretched across my face, and I followed the three boys back to town. Just as we arrived outside the ramen shop, I spotted a head of silver hair walking in the opposite direction. You three go on in. I'll be back in a few minutes, okay? Okay, Jin said, gripping the sleeves of his teammate before pulling them towards the shop. I quickly ran to catch up with Kakashi, tapping on him on the shoulder once I was close enough. Kakashi. The older ninja turned to face me and slipped the book he was reading into his pocket. Tragic. What are you doing uptown? Treating my team to a late lunch. How did it go with your team today? They all passed, Kakashi said. I nudged his arm playfully. I told you not to underestimate them. And you were right, he chuckled. But I think you should get back to your team before they eat you broke. I'm sure they... Kakashi was already walking away and waved over his shoulder. We'll talk soon. I sighed. Kakashi and I had been what I would consider acquaintances for almost 4 years now. However, no matter how hard I tried to strengthen our relationship, it never worked. He was amazing at making people feel like they knew him, when in reality, they hadn't even scratched the surface. I slowly made my way back to Ichiraku. Thank you for the head pats, Allie. Let me drink some more water. Where did I put it? Oh, there it is. And then we'll go to part 3. I just drank some. Thank you for the hydrate, Alex. Hi. Hope you're having a good night. I hope you had a good day at work. Doing a fanfic reading stream because this is what Rain asked for. I guess sort of for her birthday thing. So I'm just going to be reading this for most, if not all, of stream today. That's what he looks like. It looks like an off-brand Naruto. Anyways. Makes sense, yeah. Alright, you? What does you mean? He'll be lurking while you play. She'll be back. Alright, enjoy your games. Alright. Let's continue reading. This is so awesome. We're finally taking on a real mission, Jin said, happily running ahead of the rest of us. Don't get too excited, I laughed. D-ranked missions are usually pretty uneventful. Jin spun on his heels. The keyword is usually. There's a chance we'll get something totally awesome. Exactly how many times are you going to say awesome? Amari grumbled. Exactly as many times as I want. I sighed and watched as the two tweens stuck their tongues out at each other. Alright, you two, that's enough. This is your first chance to use your skills and prove yourself. Don't start off by picking at one another. The 4 of us arrived outside the Hokage's office and were led inside by one of the Anbu guards standing watch. Ah, tragic. How's your team doing? I gestured to the 3 children next to me. Good enough to be standing here. I think they're ready for their first mission, Lord Third. The Hokage gave a soft smile. There's a Cloud Village merchant who left the Leaf over a week ago. His daughter stayed behind to attend a gathering. But now I need the 4 of you to escort her home safely. Do you think they'll be able to handle it? Yes, Lord Third. The 4 of you will be leaving this evening. Take the afternoon to prepare, and a guard will meet you at the front gates with your client. He finished. I bowed, and my team, with the exception of Kamina, followed my lead. Reaching over, I lightly tapped on the back of Kamina's hand, gaining his attention. Bow, I whispered. The Genin did as told. You are dismissed, the Hokage said. I tugged on the sleeve of Kamina's shirt, and he followed closely behind us.